Hey there. So me and Elliot went to another concert this Tuesday. It was Hanabie. Got the shirt. It was at PIERE'S in Fort Wayne, Indiana. It's 3 opening bands, which is kind of typical for PIERE'S, which makes for a long night. But usually they're pretty good bands. We had a Spirit Bomb, Fox Lake, Dropout Kings, and then Hanabie. I had never heard of like any of the opening bands. Spirit Bomb was 4-piece band, female singer. She did some lyrics in Japanese. They said they're from the States. The music it wasn't bad. There's some kind of operatic stuff going on. I think maybe a studio version might be more listenable. The sound wasn't bad. Fox Lake was really cool. Very new metal. The guitar player was doing backups. Sounded really good. Really liked them. Then Dropout Kings came up, and it was like straight just rap with a little bit of guitar and a ton of freaking bass. Electronic bass going on in drums. There's a drummer with him. Maybe not completely necessary, but it's cool to have a real drummer there. The guitar player basically just played the bass notes, didn't really do much, but it was pretty cool. But as their show went on, like the last 3 songs, I was like, okay, dude, you can rap, I get it, but it was just getting old. It was like the same fucking key, same bass notes, blah, 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 blah. My favorite out of the first 3 openers was Fox Lake. They were pretty awesome. I look at getting some of their albums and stuff. Elliot got a t-shirt for them. Then we have Hanabie. I'll play the intro. You can check that out. When they came out, here's the thing. I tend to bitch a lot about sound when I go to shows, and part of that might be my screwed up ears hearing. But the sound for the show was really pretty good for the first 3 opening acts. I didn't really have any complaints. Everything sounded good. Everything sounded balanced. The singers were singing, they were screaming, doing growling vocals, and everything was pretty good. So I was looking forward to when Hanabie came out, because that's something they do too. Well, they came out, and the first thing Yukina did was a cutesy vocal, kawaii kind of vocal, and it was like a dagger through my fucking head. It was so goddamn loud, and it was like it maxed out the speakers. You could hear it, and me and Elliot both were like, oh my god, it was so loud. And then she went into a growl, like you could hear the sound guy crank the volume back on her, the gain back on her mic right away, and then she did a growl and you couldn't hear it. So the thing about singing and the growling vocals sound like they're like fucking belting it out and screaming, but it's not the case. It's relatively quiet compared to like a singing. Somebody who's singing with a lot of strength is a lot louder than somebody who's like doing growling vocals. That's why the mic is in their mouth, because you can make it sound louder than it is. So when you're doing both those on stage, you will see singers, the mic will be away when they're singing and closer when they're growling. That's to get that difference. Well, Yukina, I mean, she obviously knows what the fuck she's doing, right? I don't think the sound guy was familiar with what she does, maybe, or how her voice sounded. and maybe there's a compressor that was not on. It should have been on. I don't know. But anyway, it was very distracting for the first song because they're clearly trying to figure out how to get her mic figured out, because you could hear the sound guy like physically bringing the gain up, or volume, whatever, up and down every time she went to sing. It'd be too loud when she started to sing, so you'd hear it come down, and then she'd do the growling, it'd be nothing, then you'd hear it come up. So he's very manually trying to manage her voice, which was, I mean, their music is hard. It's all back and forth all the time. Matsuri's vocals were great, man. It sounded great. Her voice was beautiful. Like, I love her voice and what she does. And she sounded great. Once the sound stuff got balanced out, it wasn't too bad, but it was still too loud. Like the first 3 bands, I mean, everything was balanced really well. It was loud. We had earplugs in. When it finally got to Hanabie, everything got louder, which is the case, man. I think it's a combination of like ear fatigue. I mean, everything sounds louder because you've been listening to loud music for a few hours, and then the sound guys like to make the opening bands quieter and then louder when the main line gets out there, but it's not necessary, man. It's not necessary. If your previous bands sound good, your headliner will sound good too. Fucking leave it alone. I don't understand this obsession with making it loud as hell in an enclosed area. It doesn't make sense to me. I don't understand. It would just sound much better quieter. Still loud, but not, ear damaging loud. The show is great. I got some photos I'm going to put up here. Like I said, I went there with Elliot. I wore an Emma Fila shirt to the show. I usually wear Bandmade, but I'm like, I was wearing an Emma Fila shirt. I know they toured with them, so I thought, whatever. Of course, there's a bunch of people there with Bandmade shirts. Some people watch my channel, which is really cool to see them. There's another dude who had a poster he made, was asking, he came to scream at him. So that's cool. So I'm looking at the pictures here. We were on Matsuri's side at the rail, a little to the right of the stage, but it was really close. Speakers were above us, so it wasn't too bad as far as getting pummeled by sound. But it was cool. I mean, Yukina was all over the stage, and there's a couple cool shots of her kind of running over behind Matsuri, making like cheesy faces and stuff at the crowd. It's pretty cool. Aside of her vocals, her mic, whatever, her input not being too consistent, like overall it sounded good. Everything sounded great. You could hear the bass, you could hear the guitar. I'm telling you, Chica is a fucking beast on the drums, dude. She hits the drums so hard. I think she's the loudest out of all the drummers. Like, I swear I was hearing her acoustic drums over the damn amplified drums. It's crazy. Beats the hell out of those drums. So, I mean, there's lots of cool shots of Yukina like just doing her thing, and there's one where it's cool. It looks like she's floating, because it was like right at the end of it, she did a jump. Got a picture of it, and she ran around a lot. Matsuri was the closest. I was really impressed with her vocals live. She sounded really good, really consistent, hitting all the notes. Hetsu came over a few times. Got some cool shots of her. And she was having a blast, obviously. I guess she had sprained her ankle, or had some sort of leg injury earlier in the tour, and she was like sitting on a stool for a couple shows, but she was fully mobile during this one, which is nice. I got a couple cool shots of them headbanging. Overall, though, it was just a great show. Yeah, I mean, aside of it being during the week and Elliot being up late, whatever. It was cool, man. It's cool to see them live. I've been wanting to see them live since I heard of them. I thought it'd be just a great thing to see, and it was, dude. They were super fun. I wish I didn't always have to bitch about sound, but it's always something. Like, there's always something fucked up about it. Like, to see them again, definitely, man. I'd probably try and get more towards the middle, so hopefully they come tour again and, come back to Indiana. That'd be great. Hopefully this tour works out well for them and they come back. You think Hanabie is pretty cool. even if you don't love them, I think it'd be a good show to see live because they're pretty impressive, man. Chica's a beast.